Just a short boat ride from the vibrant canals of Venice, where the gondolas glide gracefully and the city buzzes with life, lies a place shrouded in darkness and dread. Poveglia Island. This island, often overlooked by tourists, holds a sinister reputation that has grown over centuries. An island haunted by 1,000 screams. The echoes of its tragic past still linger in the air, filling the empty halls of its abandoned buildings. Its very name whispers tales of unimaginable suffering, madness, and death. The walls of the old asylum seem to breathe with the memories of those who perished within. This is no ordinary island. It is a place where the past and the present intertwine, creating an atmosphere thick with mystery and fear. It is a place where history and horror collide. The very ground seems to pulse with the energy of the countless souls who met their end here. A place where the veil between our world and the next wears thin. The mist that envelops the island seems almost alive, whispering secrets of the past. Poveglia's story is not for the faint of heart. It is a tale of plagues, madness, and restless spirits that refuse to be forgotten. It is a chilling tapestry woven from the threads of plagues, madness, and the restless spirits of the dead. The island served as a quarantine station during the Black Death, and later as an asylum for the mentally ill. Prepare yourself as we journey to the heart of darkness and uncover the truth behind Poveglia Island, a place where fear reigns supreme. The island's history is a dark mirror reflecting humanity's deepest fears and tragedies. This island has been abandoned for decades. The once bustling quarantine station and asylum now stand silent, their walls slowly crumbling, the buildings crumble, reclaimed by nature. But the stories remain. The ivy that creeps over the ruins seems to hold the memories of the past, whispering them to those who dare to listen. Stories whispered by the wind and etched into the very stones of the island. Each gust of wind seems to carry the voices of the past, telling tales of sorrow and despair. Join me if you dare as we delve into the history and hauntings of Poveglia Island. Together we will uncover the secrets that lie hidden in the shadows and confront the ghosts of the past. Our journey into Poveglia's darkness begins in the 14th century, a time when Europe was gripped by an unimaginable horror. The Black Death, a plague unlike any other, swept across Europe with a ferocity that left millions dead in its wake. Entire towns were decimated, and the social fabric of Europe was torn apart. Venice, despite its relative isolation, was not spared from this catastrophe. The city, known for its beauty and commerce, was suddenly engulfed in fear. The once bustling streets became silent as the plague took hold. Desperate measures were needed to contain the spread. Poveglia, once a quiet island community, was transformed into a nightmarish quarantine zone. The island, which had been a place of peace, now echoed with the cries of the afflicted. Ships arrived, laden not with goods but with the dying. These vessels, once symbols of trade and prosperity, now carried only despair. Men, women and children, their bodies ravaged by disease, were dragged ashore. Their faces, etched with pain and fear, told the story of a world in chaos. The island transformed into a living hell. The once serene landscape was now a scene of unimaginable suffering. The sick were left to die, their bodies piling up in the streets and overflowing from makeshift pyres. The air was thick with the stench of death and burning flesh. The stench of death hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the island's grim fate. The island's soil became saturated with the blood and ashes of the dead. Every inch of ground seemed to hold the weight of countless lost souls. It is said that the ground itself became diseased, unable to support life, forever tainted by the horrors it had witnessed. Even today, the echoes of this suffering linger. The island is shrouded in mystery and fear, with tales of ghostly apparitions and haunted buildings. Can you imagine the terror, the despair, the overwhelming sense of abandonment felt by those left to die alone on this forsaken island? Thousands upon thousands abandoned to die alone, their final moments filled with pain and hopelessness, their cries for mercy unanswered, their suffering ignored. The island absorbed their pain, becoming a silent witness to their agony, their pain absorbed by the very island itself. Poveglia stands as a grim reminder of the past, a place where the echoes of suffering still resonate through the fog and shadows. Centuries passed, and the plague subsided. The island, once teeming with the cries of the afflicted, fell silent. Nature began to reclaim the land, but the scars of its dark past remained etched into the very soil. But the island's dark legacy endured. The abandoned buildings stood as silent sentinels, bearing witness to the horrors that had unfolded within their walls. The eerie landscapes, with their barren trees and desolate paths, whispered tales of sorrow and despair to those who dared to listen. In the early 20th century, Poveglia underwent a chilling transformation. The island, already steeped in tragedy, became the site of a new kind of suffering. The once abandoned structures were repurposed, and a new chapter of horror began. It became home to a mental asylum. The imposing facade of the asylum, with its barred windows and foreboding presence, loomed over the island like a dark sentinel. It was a place meant for healing, but it quickly became a breeding ground for further suffering. A place intended for healing instead became a breeding ground for further suffering. The grim interiors of the hospital, with their decaying rooms and dark corridors, echoed with the cries of the tormented. The walls, once meant to offer solace, now trapped the anguish of countless souls. The asylum was ill-equipped and understaffed. The rundown equipment and empty hallways spoke of neglect and abandonment. Patients were left to fend for themselves in a place that offered no hope of recovery. Patients were subjected to horrific experiments and treatments, lobotomy, electroshock therapy. These methods, intended to cure, instead inflicted unimaginable pain and suffering. The tools of their torment became symbols of the island's cruelty, methods that bordered on torture. The cries of the tormented echoed through the halls, mingling with the whispers of the dead. The island became a place where the living and the dead coexisted in a macabre dance of pain and despair. The cries of the tormented echoed through the halls, mingling with the whispers of the dead. The island became a place where the living and the dead coexisted in a macabre dance of pain and despair. The asylum's director, a man consumed by his own demons, met a gruesome end. His descent into madness was as tragic as it was inevitable. The island's dark influence claimed him, just as it had claimed so many before. He plunged from the island's bell tower, taking his secrets and madness with him. Some say he was driven by the island's evil, while others believe he was simply another victim of Poveglia's curse. Some say he was driven by the island's evil. The dark, eerie landscape of the island seemed to hold a malevolent force, one that could drive even the sanest mind to the brink of insanity. Others believe he was simply another victim of Poveglia's curse. The island's dark history continued to claim lives, its curse seemingly unbreakable. The asylum was eventually shut down. The locked gates and decaying entrance stood as a testament to the horrors that had taken place within. But even in its abandonment, the island's dark legacy lived on. But the stories of abuse, neglect, and unexplained phenomena continued to circulate. The island's reputation as a place of suffering and torment remained, its dark history forever etched into the annals of time. Poveglia Island is a place where the veil between our world and the spirit world is thin. It is a place where the dead refuse to be silent. Over the years, countless visitors and paranormal investigators have reported chilling encounters, disembodied voices, whispers, screams. The air itself seems to crackle with unseen energy. Footsteps echo through the empty corridors of the abandoned buildings. Doors slam shut on their own. Some have even claimed to hear the anguished cries of plague victims still trapped in their final moments of agony. The island is a symphony of sorrow, a chorus of the damned. These voices are not merely whispers in the wind, they are the echoes of unimaginable suffering, the residue of countless tragedies, and they serve as a chilling reminder of the darkness that permeates this island. But the voices are not alone. Shadowy figures have also been witnessed flitting through the decaying buildings. Their forms are often indistinct, like wisps of smoke, given fleeting shape by the wind. Some believe these apparitions are the spirits of plague victims still searching for peace after centuries of torment. Others claim to have encountered the spectral forms of former asylum patients, their minds shattered by the horrors they endured. One of the most commonly reported apparitions is that of a young girl. She is often seen wandering the grounds near the old well, her laughter echoing through the silence. But as quickly as she appears, she vanishes, a fleeting glimpse of innocence amidst the darkness. High above the island, a silent sentinel stands guard, the asylum's bell tower. Its bell has been silent for decades, yet there are those who claim to have heard its mournful toll echoing across the lagoon. Some believe it is the director, driven mad by his own actions, forever ringing the bell in a desperate plea for forgiveness. Others say it is the spirits of the dead, using the bell to signal their presence and warn the living to stay away. Whatever the source, the sound of the bell is said to be a harbinger of doom, a sign that the island's evil is stirring. A reminder that some wounds time cannot heal. Today, Poveglia Island stands abandoned. The Italian government has declared it off limits to the public. The buildings crumble, reclaimed by nature. The island is a dangerous place, structurally unsound, a hazard to anyone foolish enough to venture ashore. But the warnings have not deterred everyone. The island's dark allure continues to draw thrill-seekers and paranormal investigators. They come seeking answers, seeking proof of the supernatural, and perhaps seeking to confront their own mortality in the face of such overwhelming darkness. Those who have dared to set foot on Poveglia often return with chilling tales, stories of sudden cold spots, feelings of being watched, and an overwhelming sense of dread that clings to them long after they've left the island's shores. Poveglia's story is not just confined to the island itself. Its legend has seeped into popular culture. Books, documentaries, and television shows have all attempted to capture the island's chilling essence. It has become a modern-day boogeyman, a place where our deepest fears about disease, madness, and the afterlife take on tangible form. A stark reminder that some places are beyond our understanding. But even as we recount these tales of horror, we must remember the human cost. The countless souls who suffered and died on this island, their stories deserve to be heard, their memories honored. Poveglia Island remains a chilling enigma, a place where history and horror intertwine, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of fear. The island may be abandoned, but its story continues to haunt our imaginations. It serves as a warning, a reminder that some places are best left undisturbed, that some doors should remain forever closed. The next time you find yourself gazing out at the tranquil waters of the Venetian lagoon, remember the shadow that lurks just beneath the surface. The shadow of Poveglia Island, a place where fear reigns supreme and the dead refuse to be silent.